We are ready to start the meeting, Mayor. Sorry to interrupt your dinner.
Sorry. All right. Good evening, community, council members, and city staff and city clerk. And welcome to an online closed session meeting of the Burbank City Council on Tuesday, April 27th, 2021. The public will not be able to physically attend today's meeting. In lieu of in-person attendance, our phone lines are open right now for public comment on closed session items only. Members of the public may speak up to 3 minutes to participate. Please call right now at 818-238-3335. I would like to ask council members for your support. And I want to get this out now. If there are at least 1 or 2 callers in queue, I'd like to ask support from my colleagues on the council for your concurrence to cap the public comment period to 20 minutes. And that's because we have a long agenda tonight, and I want to be fair to everybody, but I want to make sure I get the support of the council to cap it at 20 minutes. Can I get just a show of hands? Yes. Councilman Talamantes, Vice Mayor? Okay, it's unanimous 5-0. Madam City Attorney, will you please state the closed session items?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members of the public and staff. Council will be meeting in closed session on 2 items. Both are existing litigation under Government Code Section 54-956.9 Subdivision D1. First matter is Einfeld versus City of Burbank, a workers' compensation case. The second matter is City of Burbank et al. Versus Barfly Inc. et al. And this is a violations of Burbank Municipal Code and abatement of nuisance case. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Ms. Mullins, good evening. Do we have any callers on the line for public comment on the closed session items only?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have 2 callers in queue and we're ready to go once you're available.
Great. Madam City Clerk, if I can ask you, or obviously a member of your staff, to please advise other callers if they start calling in that we have a cap of 20 minutes just for closed session only.
I will be happy to let them know, and I just want to confirm that then each caller is getting the 3 minutes.
Great.
And we'll cap it starting now for 20 minutes.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk.
If you're ready, we can have our first caller go through.
Good evening. Welcome.
Our first caller is Asia Mugas. Asia, you are live with council.
Hi, good evening. Welcome.
Hello. I'm calling in support for Tin Horn Flats. I really feel this situation has escalated to absurdity, and I hope that we can all work together for an immediate solution. So I've been listening to calls from the previous times, and those who oppose, I listened to their concerns. One woman mentioned that she doesn't feel safe walking in the neighborhood. Someone else mentioned they don't like the yelling and the megaphone. They don't like the Trump flags. And my first thought was, I wouldn't like if this was happening in my backyard either. But I also wouldn't like if a family business was being deliberately shut down.
Hello? Did we lose the caller, Madam City Clerk? You're muted, Madam City Clerk.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I believe we did lose it, and I'm in contact with staff right now.
Okay, great.
Why don't we go to the next caller?
Yes, we are putting the next caller through.
Thank you.
Next caller is Dennis Napolitano. Dennis, you're live with council.
Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, council members. According to the temporary restraining order that was filed, I have a message from the Honorable Mitchell L. Beckloff, Judge of Los Angeles Superior Court. It says, should Barfly Incorporated seek access to the property for some purpose other than food service, the city shall work with Barfly Incorporated to provide such access. The proposed use, however, must otherwise comply with law. Access to the facility shall be facilitated by council. Access shall be provided by permitted herein
of reasonable notice. So I'm understanding that the judge has allowed him to access his property in order to make anything that has to be done as far as repairs go. But obviously, with a fence around it, that's pretty impossible. I'd love to know when you are going to allow him to be having access to his property so he can go in and do whatever he has to do in order to be in compliance with being able to operate properly. This seems to be a very unconstitutional and unlawful thing that you're doing, since it goes against the Honorable Mitchell L. Beckloff's order here. So I'd like to know when you're planning on doing this for him, and when you stop doing what you're doing as far as your criminal activity of stopping this poor person from actually operating his business. We are going to continue protesting. We are going to continue with the affidavits, and we will remove you from office because you are not serving the people of Burbank. Your fearless leader, Gavin Newsom, is not doing too well for the people, and look what's happening to him. You guys are in the next phase of that operation. Do what you need to do to fix the situation with Tin Horn Flats. Otherwise, we will remove you from office. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your call. Next caller, please.
Our next caller is Nick. Nick, you're live with counsel.
Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate the time. I'm calling regarding Tin Horn Flats, specifically the order granting preliminary injunction, which was filed on April 9th of 2021. I've taken the opportunity to look over this document as well as others, and I found it a little strange that just after this document was filed, the city chose to erect a barrier around Tin Horn Flats, which is in clear violation of this injunction. It says even in the injunction, the judge says the city's request to barricade the premises in the court's view leads to concerns about emergency responder access and the potential for entrapment. At some point, the city suggested enforcement mechanisms present their own public health and safety risks, not only to Barfly and its patrons, but to the surrounding neighborhood as well. And so it will look to me as if the city clearly chose to ignore the judge's orders, and in my opinion should be held in contempt for that. But it also makes it difficult with regard to the temporary restraining order which was issued on March 25th, which says that should Barfly wish to access the property for some purpose other than food service, the city shall work with Barfly, Inc. to provide such access. So I'm curious to know exactly how Barfly should access their property when there's a barrier around the entire thing there's no gate in it. And so there are individuals that have donated things to Barfly for use, such as a $2,000 generator that need to be recovered. And we have no way of accessing the property to get that property back. So I'd like the city to consider granting some sort of access through this fence barrier. It's like I said, it's in violation of the court's orders, and on both the temporary restraining order and the injunction. So thank you.
Thank you for your call. Next caller, please.
Our next caller is Marcelo Pasternak. Marcelo, you're live with counsel.
Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Our next caller is Marcelo Pasternak.
Can you please lower the volume on your speakerphone or your computer, as we're getting an echo, and I want to listen to every single word you say, sir. Please.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. So, yeah, I'm calling just to let you guys know that, the community here is a little tired of having the Burbank Council spend time and money harassing local businesses. If you drive around Burbank in 2019, you would see there's probably like 30, 40 businesses that are not there anymore, that actually had to close down because they didn't make it through the pandemic, through your recommended closures. So now you guys are focusing time and money closing somebody's business, that just trying to make it through the year. You know, it was a tough year for everybody. We all suffered a lot. You guys made bad decisions. The government made bad decisions. The governor made bad decisions. So now, knowing that you guys did make bad decisions, you're trying to penalize somebody that didn't really listen to your bad decisions and survived, and his business was kind of making it through this last year. And you guys now, how much money do we just spend in defense and the police? How many times people in that corner wasting time protesting you when we can all just be working? You know, I'm taking time off work right now just so I can let you guys know that what you're doing is stupid. And it shouldn't be that way. You know, I shouldn't be trying to take out work to tell you guys to stop spending money trying to close somebody's business. Do you guys understand how this is working right now, where people are really taking off work to try to get you guys to do what the people want you to do? So please, from the bottom of my heart, just look inside and say, hey, you know, this is not right. And we made a mistake, and let this guy open his business, and let's move forward, please. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. Next caller, please.
Okay.
Our next caller is Asia Muka. Asia, you're live with counsel.
Welcome.
Good evening. Hello. I'm calling in support for Tin Horn Flats. I really feel this situation has escalated to absurdity, and I hope that we can all work together for an immediate solution. So I've been listening to calls from the previous times, and those who oppose, I listened to their concerns. One woman mentioned that she doesn't feel safe walking in the neighborhood. Someone else mentioned they don't like the yelling and the megaphone. They don't like the Trump flags. And my first thought was, you know, I wouldn't like if this was happening in my backyard either. But I also wouldn't like if a family business was being deliberately shut down for no good reason at all. Second thought, I'm curious what these people think about the looting that occurred this summer when cop cars were set on fire, businesses were broken into and set on fire. That was for BLM. That was in the middle of the pandemic with no health concern whatsoever. Really curious what people think about that one. But here's a fact. The protests that are happening at Tin Horn Flats, they are peaceful, they are respectful, everyone is welcome, and there's an agenda with a direct focus on what needs to happen in order for all of this to stop happening. And that is for the city to take responsibility. Because here's another fact. The city created this mess. It did not exist before. Tin Horn Flats has been in business for 18 years peacefully, until the city comes along and says they are endangering people's lives. If that's the case, show the evidence. But if it's political, well, I've walked around to the neighboring businesses, and some of them preach really loudly what side of the political fence they are on. If I don't agree with them, I make a conscious decision to not give them my business. But I would never want to put my energy into tearing them down and putting them out of work. That would be despicable. But that is exactly what is happening to Tin Horn Flats. And by the city creating this mess, they are also creating hate and division amongst the people. So I know many people are heated on both sides. The best thing to do right now, and what this community needs more than ever in order to thrive, is to come together and respect each other's differences. Respect is the key word. And also to utilize the taxpayers' money more responsibly. So I'm going to wrap it up, but just quickly, to those who call Tin Horn Flats selfish for remaining open, I'd like to say that I'm pretty certain that if someone came along and yanked your livelihood from you, that you would fight back as well, unless you're incredibly weak and have no values or dignity. So this fight is not going to end until that fence comes down, because those who stand with Tin Horn are also fighting for their rights as well. Their rights to attend the business on their own accord, and for the rights of others who don't want to attend that business to be able to go elsewhere. It really does work both ways. And respect is the key word. All right, thank you so much for listening. Good night.
Thank you for your call. Next caller, please.
Thank you.
Our next caller is Louise Solomon. Louise, you're live with counsel.
Good evening.
Hello,
Welcome.
ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. This is Louise Solomon. This will be my fourth call in regarding Tinhorn Flats. I'm appalled at the wall around Tinhorn Flats. A wall around Tinhorn Flats is a wall around every patriot in the United States. It's a sign of tyranny that a business owner is not allowed to enter his premises to run his business. The shutdowns were initiated by Governor Newsom. These unconstitutional, illegal mandates have been allowed to control Burbank by Burbank City Council. I just would like to put you on notice. There will be hundreds to thousands of affidavits coming to each and every one of you. Our God-given rights are protected by the Constitution. Our God-given unalienable rights cannot be given or taken away by any civil servant. We have a Constitution. You all take an oath under the Constitution when you took office. You have violated that oath, and therefore, we, the people, the patriots of the United States, are putting you on notice that affidavits will be coming your way plentifully. And we are demanding that the shutdown be reversed and that this business, Tinhorn Flats, is allowed to operate as they've been operating the past 18 to 20 years. Okay? So, again, my name is Louise Solomon, and you all can run, but you can't hide, because we're coming. We're coming for justice. We're coming for freedom. And as long as I'm alive and my heart is ticking, I will be fighting for that justice and for that freedom, that God-given freedom protected by our Constitution. And I think each and every one of you should be ashamed of yourself for taking a salary and expecting a pension when you are not allowing businesses to operate and feed their families, and employees are losing their jobs. Businesses are closing up right and left. These businesses will never again, many of them will never again be able to open up. So we have many people working on this issue here regarding you all. And trust me, we are not going away. I am not going away until justice is served, until you take that wall down.
Sir, thank you for your call. Thank you for your input. Next caller, please.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make a quick announcement. This is going to be our last caller because that gives us a total of 20 minutes.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk.
We are closing the lines. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's bring in the last caller.
Our next caller is Stephen King. Stephen, you're live with council.
Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me on. Well, first of all, you guys' ignorance and your short-sightedness just doesn't ever cease to amaze me. This should have been done and dusted already for Tinhorn Flats. According to Honorable Mitchell L. Beckloff, judge of the Los Angeles Superior Court, you guys should have provided the owner of Tinhorn Flats access to the bar anyway. And I quote, should Barfly Incorporated wish access to the property for some purpose other than food service, the city shall work with Barfly Incorporated to provide such access. And you haven't done that. The proposed use, however, must otherwise comply with law. Access to the facility shall be facilitated by council. Access shall be provided as permitted hereon on measurable notice. You guys have not done this, and we're wondering why. Bear in mind, for anyone not aware, every bar in the LA County, everywhere, is all open. The restaurants are open now, okay? And I want to read something to you. This is how just silly and ridiculous these people are. I've still got a letter that was delivered to Constantine's neighbors. And here's what it said. Dear neighbors, last week Burbank City Council member Constantine Anthony posted a note regarding protests at his home in your neighborhood. Constantine Anthony claims Tinhorn Flats is breaking the law and shouting at it won't change the law. And our response, your business is your property. The government ordering you to close or limit your operation is theft and deprivation of rights, which is a felony, Title 18, Section 242. No governor or health officer has the authority to shut down a business without due process of law, which you guys don't seem to know about. There is no law prohibiting someone from serving patrons in or outdoors with a number of patrons. No emergency order supersedes the rights protected by the Constitution, which everyone's forgotten about. What happened to the Constitution? The alleged laws the restaurant broke has been lifted. Other areas such as Ventura have dropped lawsuits and waived fees and fines. Why has Constantine Anthony and the rest of that mob not done the same? This is Nazi-like behavior. This is why this will be Germany right now. This is like the Third Reich. Churches in California sued illegal shutdown laws and won in the Supreme Court, I would have you know. Burbank continues wasting tax dollars on attorney fees, locking out of family-owned small business. It's a waste of taxpayers' money. And it continues. Constantine Anthony stated, ignore them, they'll eventually tire themselves out. Is this the type of elected official you want representing you? This is not a strategy for a representative government. The protests will continue at the Burbank City Hall and Tin Horn and possibly a few more in the neighborhood. Constantine Anthony stated they are looking for a fight. We are here to inform, not incite violence. Thank you very much. We have great rapport with the Burbank police and gain numerous supporters in our protests. The corporate media and Constantine Anthony portrays anyone who goes against their false narratives as violent racists. It's not on, okay? You can fool some of the people some of the time. I think you know the rest. Constantine Anthony stated, please do not engage. None of these protesters are wearing masks or social distancing. Prolonged mask use can lower the oxygen in your blood, organs, and brain, leading to headaches.
Sir, thank you. Your time is up. Thank you for your call. Thank you for your input. I will now declare the public comment period closed. I do have a comment for all the callers. It is great to hear from so many members of the public this evening. Many of you have called to express your comments and questions on Tin Horn Flats. And I'd like to take this moment to refer to you to the city's webpage for more information and updates on Tin Horn Flats. Please go to burbankca.gov/tinhorn-flats. Again, that city's email, the website to get the current up-to-date information on Tin Horn Flats is burbankca.gov/tinhorn-flats. Thank you for your calls, and thank you for getting involved in our community. We will now proceed to an online closed session meeting. We will reconvene the City Council meeting at 6 p.m. The public is invited to view the meeting online or by television and will be able to provide public comment by calling in directly to the City Council meeting at 818-238-3335. Again, that phone number is 818-238-3335. The televised portion of the closed session meeting is now over.